Some viewers may find the following video disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised.
Angel Dust, a character who puts on a fake persona, appears to be resistant to change and justifies his actions. And admittedly, while a lot of us have not experienced the exact things that Angel Dust does in the show, he is very relatable and also my favorite character. Beneath all of the glitz and glam lies the psychology of abusive relationships. Throughout the show, we watch Angel grapple with his own demons and the toxic cycle that he is trapped in. He has sold his soul to Val and now lives his life as an adult film star. Throughout the show, he endures unspeakable punishment but seeks solace within the temporary sanctuary of Hazbin Hotel. He struggles with abuse, addiction, longs for recognition and acceptance, and yearns to break free from the chains that bind him. I do want to give a shout out to Georgia Dow, who has already made a fantastic video about this subject. I'm just seeing what I can add to it. Today, we will delve into one of the most compelling character arcs in Hazbin Hotel.
At this rate, you'll be redeemed in no time.
I'm going to bed.
I am so proud of you, Sir Prentice. That was amazing.
Thank you.
Beautiful
Thank
work
you.
today.
You like me. You really like me.
I feel like a lot of us have been there when it's like, hey, I'm doing the exact thing that this person does. Why aren't you recognizing my achievement? He's upset because Sir Pentious is the newest member of Hazbin Hotel and is receiving all of this recognition while he appears to be temporarily forgotten, or at least he thinks he is. This feeling could be connected to a past injury or trauma. He already struggles with feelings of inadequacy and low self-worth due to his past experiences. Seeing others receive attention while he is overworth can trigger feelings of unworthiness and reinforce negative beliefs that he already has about himself. He has already had the feeling of being insignificant and easily replaceable. During the show, we are able to see him have a fake, super overconfident personality.
I got the arms, I got the stamina, I got the legs, I got the lung capacity. I got the legs, the gag reflex, the holes, the chest fluff, everyone thinks of tits.
He is constantly trying to numb his feelings with drugs, alcohol, what have you. And it might seem like he doesn't care about the other characters, but later in episode 4, you can see that he definitely does.
Tundra B.
Angel, baby, come home. It's not the same without you here. I miss you. Come back. Angel, you bitch. If you don't come home, you will be greasy truckers for the next year. Hey, amorcito, I didn't mean to yell, but you know how crazy you make me. You fucking slut. Hey, Angie, about earlier. Your whole family work's really stressful.
This might be relatable to a lot of us being in the cycle of abuse. Sure, maybe we didn't sell our soul to somebody, but it can feel very similar. You can see in this scene, he turns to Val's voicemail box after the scene in which he felt forgotten. And that might be relatable to a lot of us going back to a toxic situation that feels comfortable for us. Anyone on the outside perspective might be like, Angel, I understand he's making all of these lovey messages, but what about all of the extremely toxic and abusive ones? The abuse cycle typically contains 4 main phases. Number 1, tension building. This phase is characterized by an escalating tension and conflict within the relationship. The abuser may become increasingly irritable, controlling, or aggressive, while the victim often tries to appease the abuser to prevent further conflict. Communication breaks down and the atmosphere becomes tense and unpredictable. For some people, it might take months to go through one abuse cycle. Here we can see Angel going through it with, I don't know how long it took him to send these voicemails, maybe a day. Number 2, incident or acute phase. In this phase, the tension reaches its peak, resulting in an abusive incident. This can involve verbal, emotional, physical, or sexual abuse perpetuated by the abuser. The victim may feel powerless, frightened, and vulnerable during this stage, sometimes enduring this abuse in silence or attempting to defend themselves. That doesn't sound fun for any of us. What is this? Just leave. Well, after that comes the honeymoon phase. The reconciliation or honeymoon phase follows the abusive incident. The abuser may express remorse, apologize, or attempt to reconcile with the victim. They might shower the victim with affection, promises to change, or gifts in an effort to minimize the severity of the abuse and maintain control. In this time, the victim is relieved, and they might even genuinely believe that the abuser will not go back to this past behavior. Number 4, the calm or tension release phase. During this time, the relationship appears to return to relatively calm and stable. For a lot of people, especially those of us who have gone through certain traumas, this phase kind of feels like an addiction. You crave this attention. However, this phase is often short-lived, as unresolved issues and underlying tensions remain unresolved, setting the stage for the cycle to begin again. Over time, Angel might even have become desensitized to this abusive behavior. Engaging in this toxic relationship can trigger the release of neurotransmitters such as dopamine or oxytocin. These are associated with pleasure, reward, and bonding. This can literally create a sense of euphoria within the victim, similarly to when you are going through an addiction. Toxic relationships often thrive on power dynamics, manipulation, and control. Individuals in these relationships might have a low self-esteem or fear of being alone, making them more susceptible to manipulation and less likely to leave the relationship.
You actually think you can change? Addict trash like you doesn't change. I'll see you soon, baby.
Some of us have been through love bombing where you are overwhelmed with this affection and admiration from the partner. You might have gotten gifts, constant communication, flattery, and intense expressions of love and commitment. But for the abuser, the aim is to establish a deep connection in which they hope that you start to depend on them. After this, the perpetrator might completely change their behavior and knock down the victim emotionally. Or I should say survivor. I know a lot of people don't like the term victim when it comes to these things. This involves withdrawing affection, belittling, or criticizing their partner, leaving the survivor feeling confused, hurt, and vulnerable. Victims of abuse may develop a deep emotional connection with their abuser known as trauma bonding. This bond can create a powerful psychological connection that makes it difficult to leave the relationship. We can see throughout the show, Val uses his insecurity to control him. He even admits this in one scene, talking about how he chooses the most insecure individuals in hell.
I employ every down-on-their-luck loser this side of hell. Who the f*** is left?
Which says a lot about Val and his need for power and dominance. You can see right after listening to these messages, he turns to alcohol as a way to cope. Which, not for everyone, but can be very accurate in the way that after going through all of this emotional turmoil, your goal is to numb this pain, even if it's temporarily. It's not uncommon to experience this persistent anxiety due to the abusive relationship because victims often feel uncertain about the abuser's behavior. During the show, you can see him put on this fake persona and feign normalcy. This could be because he perceives himself as weak for being able to be controlled and abused. Something Georgia talked about in her video that I found very insightful is how Angel Dust will try to appease Valentino, do what he wants, but in reality it really doesn't matter because Valentino is going to project his feelings onto Angel Dust. If Valentino's having a good day, maybe it won't be as harsh as if he's having a bad day. It has nothing to do with how Angel Dust acts. Valentino's behavior remains unpredictable and abusive, demonstrating that compliance does not protect Angel Dust from harm. She also talks about how he has a tendency to push others away or even push their limits to see who he can really trust. A lot of us might even be able to relate to this in the way that if someone were to leave Angel Dust, they really wouldn't be leaving him, they would be leaving the persona that he put on, which is saving him. Someone may adopt an over-the-top demeanor as a way to mask the trauma they carry inside. By projecting an exaggerated or flamboyant persona, they create a distraction from their inner pain, shielding themselves from vulnerability and potential judgment. Apart from the lore in the TV show, we are not able to know a lot about his past. He could have sold his soul due to pre-existing wounds or past experiences that left him vulnerable to abusive dynamics. For some people, trauma can shape your beliefs, behaviors, choices, and influence your involvement in abusive relationships. If all you know is this abusive behavior, you might come to find it normal or not even know the difference. Some people might even express feeling uncomfortable when they are in their first relationship that is not abusive because it is unfamiliar to them. Episode 4, we are finally able to uncover the truth about Angel Dust and see that he isn't really just this whole persona he puts on. Charlie goes to Angel's work to try to take him back to the hotel, but this is very upsetting to Angel because he does not want her to go through any of what he has to. He wants to shield her from the emotional turmoil and manipulation that is accompanied by this relationship. So this scene is particularly one of the most triggering in the entire series. This is the first scene with Angel Dust in which there is no background music and no comedy. We are able to see a version of him that we haven't seen before.
Val, I didn't know Val,
You really think you can have Lucifer's little bitch fight your battles for you?
Val, please, I'm sorry
You bring her here to protect you? To f*** with me? You think she can get you out of work?
No, that's not what I'm trying to do. No!
Not every single abuser, but a lot of abusers have been through trauma themselves, and you can see within this scene him trying to control him. Attempting to possibly alleviate his insecurities, he exerts control over Angel Dust, making sure that Angel knows he is dependent on Val for survival. By maintaining this dynamic, Val is able to exert control and worth over himself.
You know she can't do anything. I own you. Or have you forgotten that?
No.
You can see that he is very threatened by the idea of Angel being friends with anybody else because it draws attention away from himself. He becomes very angry and aggressive due to Angel's growing independence and resistance to his manipulation. This reaction stems from his fear of losing control of validation and control that Angel represents. Anger becomes a tool for asserting dominance and reestablishing control over Angel.
When I say come, you say...
Yes, Valentino.
When I say you are f***ing 20 guys before lunch, you say...
Yes, Valentino.
When I say you better get that f***ing out of my studio, you say...
You say... Look, Val, she just gets involved in everything. I'll tell her to leave. Just don't hurt her.
Angel is willing to do whatever when it comes to him, but when it comes to Charlie, he is not, and this challenges Val's authority and control over him. Val perceives Charlie as a threat and interprets his relationship with her as betrayal to him. He is attempting to alienate everyone else so that Angel is exclusively his. He wants Angel to have this sense of dependency on him. He doesn't want him to seek help from others. It might seem easier for a victim to tolerate abuse directed towards themselves because they have been conditioned to accept mistreatment and may not believe that they deserve it or have no alternative. It is rationalized, but when witnessing or allowing abuse towards others, particularly Charlie, someone that he cares deeply about, he has a sense of responsibility and protectiveness.
You're gonna go get rid of her, and then you're filming all night. Get me?
Yes, Val.
What makes you think you can treat him like that?
Charlie, just stop.
Angel, what are you talking about?
Charlie, leave! I didn't want you to come here. I already asked you to leave, and you didn't listen. You made things worse.
So in this way, he understands that by yelling at Charlie, she's going to be upset about it, but it is far less bad than the abuse that Val could potentially put on her.
You actually want to help me? Get the fuck out of here and let me finish my work.
I didn't mean to. I'm so sorry.
Despite his outward persona, his loyalty towards Charlie shines through, showing that his connections are indeed authentic and meaningful. He might downplay his emotions or put on a front to protect himself, but his actions speak volumes about the depth of his feelings and the lengths he's willing to go to safeguard those he holds dear. Val knows exactly what he's doing. By threatening Charlie, he's instilling fear in Angel. By demonstrating their capacity to cause harm to those closest to the victim, the abuser reinforces their control and dominance in the relationship, further undermining the victim's sense of agency and autonomy. He wants Angel to depend on him by saying things like, "You're lucky that you have me. You're lucky that I take care of you." This is a form of manipulation known as gaslighting. By constantly reinforcing this narrative, the abuser seeks to undermine the victim's confidence and autonomy, making them doubt their own worth and abilities. You can see by Angel's actions that he is internalizing what Val has to say about him, and he starts to believe it. There's another scene where Husk goes to the bar to talk to Angel, and he realizes the people that Angel is with are drugging him.
That puts up in your drink.
You don't think I can tell if someone spikes my drink? I do this all the time.
You just let people drug you all the time?
You think I ask for it? I don't ask for any of this shit. I didn't ask to be this way.
When Husk says to Angel, "You just let people drug you all the time," Angel finally takes off his mask.
So you might as well just cut the act.
It's not an act. It's who I need to be. And this is my escape. Where I can forget about it all. How much I hate everything. A place where I can get high and not have to think about how much it hurts.
The psychological impact of abuse can lead victims to internalize the negative messages and begin to believe that they are indeed worthless, deserving of mistreatment, or even responsible for the abuse. This self-loathing can stem from feeling powerless, shame, and guilt associated with being unable to leave the abusive situation or stand up to the abuser. The cycle of abuse can make the victim confused and in self-doubt. You can see that Angel is internalizing the abusive behavior and beginning to anticipate it as a consistent aspect of their life. He might believe that this abuse is inevitable or unavoidable.
And maybe if I can ruin myself enough in the process, if I end up broken, I won't be his favorite toy anymore. And maybe he'll let me go.
You can see in this scene that Angel turns to maladaptive behaviors as a means for self-protection. He admits with his drug addiction he wants to ruin himself to the point where he is no longer desirable. This is an attempt to reduce the likelihood of having further harm and abuse. You can see this in real life when people turn to things like EDs, SH, and other self-destructive behaviors. There is an aim at undermining their own attractiveness or worth in the eyes of the abuser. A victim may engage in self-destructive behaviors as an attempt to avoid being objectified or sexually exploited by the abuser. By sabotaging their own appearance or engaging in behaviors that diminish their attractiveness, they hope to deter the abuser from targeting them for sexual exploitation. This is why some survivors might engage in behaviors like EDs. If I didn't look this way, maybe they wouldn't have done this or won't do it in the future. A lot of the time, it's not like you're thinking that, it can be an unconscious effort. These behaviors are often driven by a desperate attempt to regain a sense of control to protect oneself from further harm in a situation where power dynamics are severely skewed. Ultimately, self-destructive behaviors like this are harmful coping mechanisms that may temporarily alleviate distress but do not address the underlying issues of abuse and trauma. What Husk says is impactful because by calling him a loser, it resonates with Angel Dust's own self-perception. But Husk's acknowledgement of Angel's current situation, it reaches him because Husk is saying it's okay that you feel that way. The problem is that you are not willing to grow from this situation. He recognizes Angel's struggles and flaws. You can see during the song, Husk guides Angel's dances and slowly lets him lead on his own until they are effortlessly in sync. This acknowledgement and challenge from Husk motivates Angel to pursue change because it demonstrates acceptance of his current state while encouraging growth and improvement. Angel Dust's character is a profound exploration of trauma and the human psyche. From his hypersexual behavior to his self-destructive tendencies, Angel's actions are deeply rooted in his past experiences of abuse and exploitation. Within Angel Dust's character, we are able to see how complex trauma can be. What do you think about the Angel Dust character? Some people found him all too relatable, while other people found that it might have been exploiting trauma. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up, subscribe, turn the bell on if you're feeling risky, and comment below. Thank you so much. It helps with the algorithm. Also, thank you so much to each and every one of my Manatee members for supporting my efforts on this channel. It literally means the world to me. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to watch this video. To everyone, have a good day, night, whatever the case may be. Take care of yourselves and peace out.